right. Hello and welcome to today's video with Judita and Anna. I am kind of put on the spot with this one because right before we started recording, I was like, okay, what is the energy that flows through us today? And Judita brought up an interesting topic where I'm like, oh, I'm kind of put on the spot. So I'm really excited to share this one with you and seeing what flows through, what comes up. Judita, how about you start us off with a meditation and just grounding for about a minute or two?
Yeah, sure. Hello, everyone, and welcome. So let's just, find a comfortable position, close your eyes, and tune into your body. Taking a deep inhale into the body through the nose and exhaling through the mouth. Noticing what's present. If you need to stretch, noticing if you have any tension in your shoulders. And slowly connecting with whatever is present. You might even put one hand on your heart, one on your belly, and notice how does it feel when you're holding yourself in this very moment, knowing that there is nothing else than you, your breath, and this energy which is flowing through your body every moment. No matter what is going on in your day, no matter what is happening, you're always connected to the source. Taking deep inhale and exhaling. You can even make a sound if you need
Oh.
to. And if you feel ready, you can just slowly open your eyes.
Thank you. Beautiful. So how about you introduce the topic today? And I'm gonna
Oh, I
I'm gonna
like
see
that.
what comes up.
Well, I've got this question of like, how do you know that the relationship is over? How do you know that the relationship, it can be even a friendship, between you and your friends. It can be between you and your partner. It can be even relationship in the family, right?
Family,
Because
yeah.
sometimes, there are certain people in your family or people around you, that you don't want to have anymore in your life, or not even not have them in your life, that you need a distance from them, right? And I really, really like this question when I was asked this question today, because I was just like, well, my answer was, the answer, because you know the answer, because how does it feel?
I
How
hate
does
when
it
teachers
feel?
say that. I remember like we have a
Yeah.
common teacher. I remember asking that. I was like, well, tell me what to do. And they're like, you'll figure it out. I'm like, but I'm not figuring it out. And I need to know. It wasn't about a relationship, but it was about like, aspects of my life. And I'm like, I just need someone to tell me what to do. And like the right teacher will just keep pointing you back to you, even if you're like, well, this is stupid. I'm not going to work with you. It's like, don't. But
Mm.
they're pointing you back to you. Yeah.
No, I love that. And even though I was actually giving a few examples of how, like, this person could like tune into what is like what feels right and what doesn't, it always like, brought me back into, you are responsible. You should take the responsibility for your actions, right? And same goes for the other side, right? So
No, but
if
we
you
want to
are in the
blame somebody.
Yes, exactly.
We
And
want to
yeah, you want to be in the blame, and you want to be like, it's your fault. This is how I'm feeling because of you, right? This is like, you made me to do this, right? And I was like, wow, this like responsibility of like, taking the responsibility is so powerful if you take that step of say like, okay, So what am I doing? Why am I doing it? And also, what I was sharing with this person was, you also have to really realize if there is, if you and the other person, you want to make it work. Because a relationship can look at different ways, right? It doesn't have to look like a regular relationship how we know it looks like, right? You can both live in a different apartments or
Mm,
be on the other side of the world and still be together. But do you really want to make it work? Do you really want to find a way where you can be there and be actually unconditional love for your partner, right? Because that's what we are all looking for this freedom of like knowing that there is unconditional love no matter what I do and no matter how I live my life.
yeah. Oh gosh, there's so many nuances with this one. First of all, I thought of family when you said, I mean, because I just grew up as an embassy kid. So when you said, you're on the other side of the world and still it's like, do you want to make that choice? Or, I mean, you're in New Zealand, you're like my best friend, right? And it's this, are you willing to be unconditional? I know the most important person in my life for a long time was my father. And we had these calls, like I lived in Canada and he was in Eastern Europe. And we would talk and like he was my person. He was the safe adult in my life when I needed that. And it was, huge distance. And so many of us, like we come up with these excuses or, like I definitely had family members like, oh yeah, but we can't keep in touch because they're so far. Actually, I have my mother's like that with the kids, like, oh, well, they're too far, so I can't build a relationship. It's like, when there's a will, there's a way. So we will just either come up with reasons why and therefore ways to do it when we're tuned in to what we want, or we're going to find excuses for why not. So
Mm,
when we're like, when we have this is the masculine, feminine energetics, really. It's like when you have a clear direction, a clear decision, hey, this is what I'm committed to. This is what I want. This is the vision that I have. Um, you will absolutely have, moments where it's like, I don't want to do that, or I don't want to put in the work, or it's too difficult. But if that vision is clear, if that direction is clear, then you're not going to get lost in that. It's like you're not going to feed the thoughts that are not in alignment with the vision, right? You're not going to allow yourself to go there because it's in every moment, it's like, is it taking you further or closer to that which you want?
mm,
Yeah, so I definitely thought of, family or friends, and I definitely had that. I know a lot of people have this on the spiritual path when they first get in, like, oh, all my, you have to let go of your current friends because the odds are they were in the frequency of like the old you and it doesn't resonate anymore. You're like, I want more, wholehearted people in my life. I want more of that tribe, and I don't have that. And so many people that I've come in contact previously and also online, and they were like, "Oh, this is such a great community, but I don't have anyone in my close proximity." So it's like here again, you're either focusing on what isn't working, on you're focusing on what is. And I feel like that's such an important question because that question you ask, when is the relationship over? Any relationship. Well, it's you. It can be over from the start if you're saying, "Oh yeah, I'm doing that," but not really, So it depends on your level of devotion because there is no outside of you. And I know it's especially difficult to hear when it comes to relationship. And I had to, I had a lot of different breakups, and one was after many years of marriage, and it's like it's really difficult to leave a relationship, especially where nothing is wrong, like it's seemingly great, and you're just like, it's over, it's not right, and you can just feel that. So the way I would really answer that, and I would love to hear your take on that, is that, ooh, when you feel energetic charge around it, it's probably not the time to leave because you're good. No matter where you go, you're gonna take yourself with you. Like you're stuck with you, and therefore your energy, your patterns are there. And I remember being so frustrated with an ex-partner and be like, oh my God, I can't stand them. And like, I want to just, not be around them anymore. And my guidance communicates like, oh no, you're not leaving now. You're going to leave when it's easy. And I'm like, why would I leave when it's easy? Like, why would I leave when we're good? If then I wouldn't have a problem with him. And it's like, no, you're going to leave when it's easy. And then when it happened, I actually understood like, oh, from I don't want this, this isn't right for me, and you suck, you can't leave because that energetic charge is still there. From a place of neutrality, I really love this person, but this is just not right. That's when
Mm,
you know, and that's when you can make so you can make those decisions from a place of centeredness and presence.
I love that. I
What is
love
your
that.
take on that? And I love how you, the one who's like, been in the same relationship for what, like 20 years, is asking
Yes.
that question.
And I just recently made a video about like entanglement in the relationship. And I remember when I shared in the video, when I was in love,
When I used to be in
like from
love,
the
yeah,
start, yeah, from the start of my
I
relationship,
love
like, I
that.
was sharing a story there and then I was listening to myself and I was like, wow, well, like when I was like being in love, right? It's like from the beginning of the relationship, there is like so much emotions involved and you are just like so you have these like pink glasses or however you call it where you just don't see clearly a red flags or you don't
Mm,
see like your own red flags or your own toxic behaviors, right?
mm,
And then later on you just start realizing that actually everything what's happening in your like your relationship is not only someone's fault, that it's also you. And as soon as you again start taking that responsibility, the things start really like shifting. And I believe that you also have to ask yourself, like, um, what, like, how do I feel in this relationship? Like, what's the energy? Like, when were talking about the energetic, like, charge, is it like a good charge? Or is it like a very, like, negative and draining, like, charge where you really feel like exhausted, right? Like, totally exhausted. And then you just come home and it's just like draining your, like, and it's like, your energy is drained. And that's when your nervous system is not regulated properly and you are just like in this um fight mode all the time, and then it's really hard to make these decisions if you should be leaving or if you should be staying, right? That's what I'm hearing you saying. And
yeah.
um uh yeah, I don't know what I wanted to say by that. That was something
I
I
want to I
saw.
want to make it practical with this one. I love the point that you touched on. I want to make this practical. It's like, okay, well, this situation, like, how do you do it, right? Or it's like, oh, I just feel drained with this person. And that's another thing. I see that so common that partners, like when they spend a lot of time together, they're like, oh my God, I just like they're irritating me. It's like you're not supposed I mean, some and for some it works and that's amazing. A lot of us we're not meant to be with partners all the time. Like you were in a relationship for 20 years. You need time of you on your own. Right?
Definitely.
Right? Okay.
I need
And
my
then some of us
space.
like, oh, well, we spend so much time and then we're irritating. So it's like, we must be not right for each other. It's like, no, you're just human. And it also depends on your personal needs for like, a space, how much space you need or how much connection you need. And also like, we're just moving in waves, right? It's like we need connection, we need our own individual time and an on and off. And sometimes our partners are with that. So it's like they need connection when we need connection. And sometimes like they need connection when we don't need connection. And they're like learning how to navigate this is so crucial because you're going to keep
Mm,
bumping up against this. Because we're bound to not have the same patterns, okay, at some point in the relationship, maybe from even the beginning. So the faster you can learn to navigate this, I feel like that's really a big shift. But also I want to be practical with what you said. It's like, well, I don't know if it's right for me or not because there's this irritation or fight or flight. When you just take time for you and you
mm,
just center,
mm,
is what's coming up. Because that's the thing, a lot of people are like trying to figure it out within the dynamic, but it's not about within the dynamic. It's about getting back to you and asking you yourself, is why am I here, right? What is the purpose of it for me? What do I want? What is the vision of that? How does it feel? And not getting, because some people are on the list, kind of like, what kind of house do I have? Oh, I want like a white house that has a red roof. It's like, it's not about the detail. It's not about how it looks like. What do you want to feel in the house? Because you're after a frequency. You're blocking yourself off if you're becoming very, focused on those details that aren't that important. Okay. It's about the feeling that you want of having a white roof, a white house and a red roof. So tuning into what do you want to feel And the question is, are you giving that feeling to yourself?
Mm.
Because I feel like a big trap is when we're trying to get that, which we're actually made a reel on the story on Instagram, this very thing today. We're getting trapped because we are trying to get those needs that we are not meeting for ourselves from a partner. And I've definitely been in these moments where it's like, I don't feel heard, or they're not approving of me, or they're not validating me. And it was like, we're screaming that, but what it really communicates is whatever you're trying to get out there, you're not getting here. And so it's like, are
Mm.
you hearing yourself? Are you validating yourself? Are you creating time for you? Even
Mm.
if, because I'm thinking of love languages, even if your love language is physical touch, like, do you do this? Do you come into your body with you? Because we oftentimes try to get it from out there, and it's never enough because we don't know how to self-regulate. So we depend on um, our nervous system being regulated by others, but it's like we're not children to do that anymore. Children do that because they don't have the ability to regulate their own system. Adults can do both. Yes, co-regulation is really important, but it's not just about that. It's about learning how to give to yourself and how to show up for you.
Mm. What's actually coming up to me is like, somebody who is just watching and is like, yeah, but how can I do that when we are just in the fight, right? When there is a anger and a frustration, and I'm so like, triggered by my partner. And in that moment, like, how can I just like, go and hold myself and just be, to love myself in that moment when it's like so much going on and I'm so emotional and yeah, what, how can
Yeah.
I do it in the moment?
Yeah. Well, I feel like it's such an important question. Two, one is, and you can use them not necessarily together, just separately. One is, am I being a follower of love or fear? Because a lot of like our arguments are about, it's like, what are you trying to prove? And like, is it coming from love or is it coming from fear? And I was actually just recently working with a client, and he goes, he's telling me about a conflict he had with a partner. And I'm like, well, was that love or fear? He's like, it was frustration. Like it's neither. And I'm like, okay, what is the frustration about? And it was like a communication issue. I'm like, what is the frustration about? It's like, well, it's about this. I'm like, right, what are you afraid of is going to happen if your partner doesn't understand you? It's like, well, there's going to be a fight. I'm like, okay, so is that love or fear? He's like, oh, fear. I'm like, right. So it's not from love. And if you can actually really ask yourself, it's black and white, there's nothing in between. Is it love or fear? That's the first
Mm,
question. The second one is, are you willing to be happy instead of being right? Like, can you
mm,
actually let go? And this was transformational for me, especially over the last year. Um, am I okay to give the freedom to the other person to be miserable? And I love this lesson was coming up like in all different aspects of my life because it was
mm,
this subtle, like, oh yeah, I give the freedom, like I want to stand in my own freedom and I get the right to be me. But then I didn't want my partner or child or friend to be upset with me. So I was trying to like control their reaction. Don't be upset with me. Here, let me give you more explanations. Instead of just being like, hey, you do you. You want to be in low frequency? You have the right to do that. I don't choose that. I'm out of that.
mm, mm,
And that's the power I feel like. It's like, yeah, but well, they're this, and this is where we go to, well, they're making me feel this. Nobody's making you feel anything. Are you a victim? I know that word would
mm,
totally trigger me. Because I was like, I'm not a victim. I don't want to be seen as a victim. It's like, are you a victim? Because if you're
mm,
in control of your life, no one can make you anything. And it's your choosing. I'm choosing to entertain this right now. I'm choosing to listen to this lower frequency conversation that isn't serving me. Instead of just leaving and being like, yo, I want to focus on me or I need to replenish. I just need to be with me right now. If those questions seem difficult, I would just say like, a script kind of phrase is, I'm not in the space to receive this right now. I need time for myself.
mm.
And
I
that
love
creates
that.
space, the ability for you to take time for yourself. Because it's surprisingly also men and women. I've worked with both who have trouble with that, who have trouble saying that, like, all right, we got to resolve, or they feel the pressure of my partner wants to talk about this now, and I have no capacity, and they're not allowing themselves to say something like, I can't right now, like I need to be with me. And it's like, oh, that's not allowed. Because I mean, as children, we weren't allowed most of the time to feel something like that
Mm,
and to vocalize
mm.
that.
And it also brings me to when I was like talking to this person, I was also asking her, and in which like, menstrual phase are you in at this moment?
Mm.
right? So
For
because I
women, that's
like,
so
it,
important.
yeah, it immediately like, I was like, is she like, before her, like, is she like in her follicular phase, luteal
Well, that
phase,
one's
or
separate. I want to break
like,
up with everyone. I want to burn all the
yeah,
bridges and
yeah, exactly. And and when you understand, as a woman, in
yes,
which like, week you are, in which like, phase you are at, you understand why you are feeling the way you are feeling, why
some of
some
the waves,
emotions
yeah.
are stronger than they
Yeah, and why
are.
you feel
And
small, and it's so, so important. And this, by the way, I just
exactly.
wanna because you recently when you told me that you have like a thing that you do with your partner actually, that there's like a little, you tell him there's like four squares and you tell him which phase you're at by moving the thing or putting like a star on that. And I'm like, oh my God, that's amazing. I want that too. And you actually have the freebie that we're gonna share below. That's so amazing. I love that tool because like it helps even if you're single, just like, wait, what is happening with me? Because a lot of like, even I did that like a while back. It was like, oh God, I'm so agitated. And then like, or you're even the obvious things, like you're craving some foods and you're like, what's wrong with me? And then it doesn't, you want somewhere visible to be
Like
like,
immediately.
oh,
Mm,
that
yeah.
phase, right? That phase of
Yeah.
my cycle. And I feel like it's really helpful for your partner to also know that like, hey, I'm here right now. Okay. Don't touch me. Don't talk to me.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
snacks are welcome and massages. Okay. And like that's
Yes, exactly. This was
yeah.
a game changer in my relationship, honestly.
Mm.
Like, for my partner to actually know where I am as a woman, because my hormones and my body is just functioning differently than his. And it was so
Yeah.
much easier for him to understand why he has like four women in 1 month.
Or and I'm like, you can have that in a day. Because I like it was so
Yeah.
amazing. I recently witnessed that really with just the shifts. And yes, absolutely, because it's like a more, this is the week of this. And that's why that the PDF that you created is so freaking incredible. But also I realized how for me, I remember I think you and I like I always feel really lit up after we talk. And like it lasts the whole day. But then like I was so inspired and I had all this intuition. And then something flipped. Like it's not that even something happened. I just got different emotions. I was like, oh, this thing happened. And it's like I noticed myself throughout the day having like five different phases. And that was so cool. And I'm like, oh, like, and my masculine can hold that. Like, I don't judge that. It's like, oh, I don't have to be stable in that regard. It's like, well, why did you just change opinions? I'm like, I don't know. I feel differently. Like, there's a different flow of energy. And that's the beauty when you can become so sensitive and loving of that. Like, that's just life flowing through me, And like, I am the tool of life. That's like all women are. But it's like when you allow yourself to be that. Um, and it was phenomenal because I'm like, I tell like the men in my life that I'm like, I know that it's a lot because you don't know what you're gonna get at any time. But I'm like, I was like, I don't even know what I'm gonna get. Like, I don't know what's gonna come through me the next 30 minutes. I have no idea what version of that feminine flow I'm going to get as, the masculine within me. Like, I have no clue. And like you can
Mm,
honor that. So it's like, yeah, the structure helps. And can you allow the flow of energy moving through you?
it's
And the
beautiful.
yeah, and this is the same for men, by the way. Like when you are there feeling like, oh, women are too much, or they're too this, or they're too demanding, it's like, where's that disconnection within you? Because it's like the masculines, they're creating a safe space, like it has direction and purpose. This is where we're going, and it creates a safe space for the feminine to open. So as within, so without. So for men, first of all, your own expression, are you judging it? Are you allowing it? Because, and also this reflects on how you're treating women in your life. And women, same thing. Are you judging it? Are you saying, oh, well, this doesn't make sense, or this sounds crazy, or oh, why am I like this? And it kind of makes us feel better when we have an excuse or like, a reason, like, oh, I'm in this phase of my cycle. And that kind of, I like that because that gives us more permission. But the next step from even that is like, can I not have a reason why? Can I just allow life to flow through me? Yeah, and this kind of draws back, makes a whole circle to the original point that we started. When do you know that it's over? It's like allowing the energy to flow through you that you just know. Like
Mm,
you'll just feel it. And it comes from the self-trust because we kind of started from the mind level. How do you know, right? And you have like the pros and cons and whatever. And it's like, or like dedication, right? It's the masculine direction. But it is about just the feminine feeling. And especially as the woman, you feel the flow of energy more and with more sensitivity and using that, learning how to navigate through that. Yeah. Anything else
Beautiful.
coming up for you, love?
No, beautiful. I was just like, oh my God, I would love to finish with these beautiful words, like,
Okay.
just knowing that when the energy is flowing through you, when you are connected to the
Mm,
source, to the divine, looking after you, like, um, increasing your self-care practices and
mm.
just like, looking after you.
Yeah. And I want to add that because by the way, we're gonna have the PDF that you created, which is such a powerful gift down below. And what I love about this one as well is that you created like suggestions of what you need to support your body throughout the different phases and generally and like those tips. I love, love, love it. So yeah, I already grabbed my PDF. So go ahead and do that too. Thank you guys so much for being here. This has been amazing, and we'll see you again in 2 weeks.